officially made it to a week on my Daniel fast. Last year when I did the fast, I wanted to do like a post fast sort of recap to publicize what I experienced and what I learned, what were my pain points, to really document my life. A lot of what I do is mainly just self documentation that I was here, and I feel like living in this digital time, this is the way to archive life and experiences, and for something for me to like look back on and be like, wow, that was me then. And free will, like, there's no standard to picking up a phone and recording yourself and putting it on the internet yet. But the second reason why I do these things is to encourage conversation for other people to be I don't want to say an example. I feel like as human beings, we thrive off of relevancy, and we need to have that to know that, somebody out there in the world is having the same experience as us, or that what we're going through is not unique to us. So that part too. But it was so much stuff that happened last year. No, my Daniel fast said it was like literally once the fast was over, it was like I just could never bring myself to sit down to record it because it was just like so many things and I didn't know how I wanted to do it. And at that time, I was very focused on monetization and very focused on like wanting to be like viral and all that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. So it was just like a lot of the limitations that I place around myself creatively, especially like through verbal communication online, is due to the aesthetics. Like, oh, I don't have the right background. Oh, my hair, I don't like the way I look. Like, I'm not dressed up and I'm not like all these things, the camera angle and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if I will ever become like the internet. It's not even like I want to be an internet sensation. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get to a place of being a successful content creator. And I don't want that. I want what I put online to spark movement in my real life. So, anyway, I am documenting what I feel called to in the moment, and I'm just going to do that because it's about me and not about you. So, I did this Daniel fast last year, and it was very important to my journey, and I am where I am at right now because of the Daniel fast. Last year, it was very difficult. The Daniel fast was kind of like the nail in the coffin to already like extremely hard times, and I didn't have nearly half the things that I have now. Back then, I was just broken in all ways a person could be broken, and I needed to be that low to break up with this idea that I was in complete control of my life and that I didn't need divine assistance. So where I stand at now is I have a better understanding of my role and the role of God in my life, and my spiritual guidance. So far, even though it's only been a week, um, it hasn't been as challenging as it has been before. And I've also been preparing myself to get here. Last year, I just jumped right into it cold turkey. It was no preparation. So I'm fasting from alcohol, I'm fasting from social media, sugar, caffeine, and some other things that are more personal to me. And the dating phase for me doesn't include like abstinence from particular things. For me, it's really just to build a routine of true self care. So, in taking care of myself better this past week, I've noticed some things that are very just like, wow, man, that's crazy. So the biggest thing that's been coming through right now is the need to vindicate my like 14-year-old self. I feel like that's the part of my inner child that I'm currently parenting. I think I've healed years younger than it. So what comes up a lot of like the aches and pains and past memories is, 14, 15-year-old unique. And a lot of it is in desirability and learning to find myself desirable at the age of 29 because I feel myself for the first time ever aging. And I know that I'm still young. I know that I have a long way to go. I know that 30s is not old, 40s isn't old, but I do feel myself climbing over a fence. Like I feel that I feel a rite of passage is happening for me. And I think that that is the turning point of when you are on the cups of, your 30s. So I'm feeling it, and in me feeling it, it's just like things are changing. I'm changing. My body's changing. My sense of style is changing. Um, my needs are changing, and there's a part of me that is still feeling deprived from being sheltered as a kid. And that part of me is rooted in the male gaze. So I know that a lot of women talk about decentering the male gaze online. I know that's a hot take on TikTok, and that's like a whole, fascinating community of women of what happens when you decenter the male gaze. And a lot of it is like acceptance of like true physicality, if you will, and how women don't feel the need to like shave or wear matching bra and panties or just it goes deeper than that, but that's kind of the gist of it. I feel like decentering the male gaze is like accepting your inner lesbian in a way. Like it's like becoming like, I don't know, like a super butch, like free spirited, titties flopping in the wind, hairy pussy, like, I don't care to be put together, pretty, delicate, all that kind of stuff. And to each his own with that. But I am learning for myself that it's a difference between, for me, decentering the male gaze and living a life like that and graduating from the need of the male gaze. I feel like there's two different things to me. I feel like decentering the male gaze is disconnecting from feminine power of male attraction. And for me, growing up, I was disconnected from my femininity at an early age. And it's different when you grow up black and urban. And I feel like the expectations, beauty standards are a lot more materialistic in the black community than they are, I feel like, in whites and Latinos and stuff like that. I think in those communities, like long hair and thin bodies is more defined by like attraction, whereas in the black community it's not about entirely like what you look like, it's like what you can afford and what you have. And that's just what it is. I think that as black people, it's just like, we materialism is big to us. And so growing up like in the early 2000s and being in high school in the early 2010s, it was like, there were things that you needed to have to be considered a pretty girl, and I had none of those things. And I feel like a lot of embarrassing things were done to me as a kid as forms of punishment. And that embarrassment that I like constantly had about myself and the way I looked and the way I showed up has molded into a complete and utter like distrust of my beauty and my magnetism and how just like gorgeous I am and how well dressed I can be. And like I was disconnected from that for a very long time. And even when I did get to an age of being able to like buy my own clothes and do my own hair and stuff like that, I was, by that time I was like completely broken. So it didn't matter, you know, how cute my outfit was or how well my hair looked or just how put together I was. Like I still felt so ugly. And I have like a lot of pictures saved of me from like 22 to like 25. And when I look at those pictures, I get mad at myself because I was like, why didn't I see how beautiful I was? Like, why didn't I see like I had it, and I still have it, like, but it's kind of like the Marilyn Monroe effect, the difference between Norma Jean and Marilyn Monroe. And I think that is every woman. I think every woman has that split between, you know, you as your standard self and then that like that alter ego. And I feel like the way I was conditioned as a kid, I wasn't conditioned to have an alter ego. And I think an alter ego is what every woman has when you put on a dress, you do your hair, you put on your lipstick, when you go get your eyelashes done and you get all put together, your nails is done. I feel like that's you at a higher level. That's your alter ego. That's you stepping into it. And I feel like there are women who live completely in their alter ego and they abandon that other version of themselves. There are women who have a fine balance between that, and there are women who don't, I feel like, exist in an alter ego. I feel like those are women who decenter men, and they live as their regular self. And all are very empowering on the spectrum, but I feel like that's something that you should be allowed to choose, and it's not something that should be a default to setting for you. And for me, that was the default to setting, because a lot of things that that represented femininity were not allowed for me. So hair extensions, you know, nails, and even I feel like popular clothes, and shoes and certain things like that, like all of those things were considered like taboo growing up. And so I didn't have them. And I had to navigate a world where this is the standard and you don't have the standard. And so you have to like survive in this. And that was extremely difficult, you know, growing up. And there were things that were done to me on purpose for me to feel ugly, for me to feel humiliated, for me to feel like shit constantly. And so that in turn disrupted my mind and body connection. And that's something that at 29 years old, I couldn't put a finger on exactly what my anxiety is. Like, what drives my anxiety? Why do I always feel this anxiousness in myself? What is it? And I realized that there's a disruption between my mind and my body. And it's a disruption for me feeling like, literally feeling okay to be inside this body the way that it is, the way that it looks. And because of everything that I went through as a kid, I was ultimately conditioned to not want to be in my body, that my body was shameful, that I was shameful, that, you know, at school it's like ugly, corny, whatever, and then at home it's like not good enough, too grown, fresh, hypersexualized a lot. And that conditioning over and over and over again made me purposely decenter the male gaze, and then in turn into kind of like this shrewd type of woman who is very afraid of her sensuality and her sexual power, and afraid of the power of being beautiful. Like, there is literally power in beauty, and I feel like beauty is definable. You can be fat and beautiful, skinny and beautiful, hairy and beautiful, short and beautiful. I just feel like beauty is confidence in your physicality, and how you work with your avatar, what you do to your body, like how do you take care of yourself. And so being able to disconnect from social media in a world, and just doing these different type of meditations and sitting with myself, there's a lot of pain that still is there, and there's a lot of mourning. I find myself still mourning my girlhood, because I feel like my girlhood was robbed from me. And where I'm at now, in in search of like romantic partnerships, and wanting to not necessarily settle down. Like, I don't want to get married. I'm not necessarily looking for a long-term relationship, but I have been doing a lot of thinking about, like, well, what do I want out of partnership right now, like in future and long term. And when I conceptualize all the things that come to me, it's like I'm looking for devotion. I'm looking to be worshipped. I'm looking to be fantasized constantly. And I look for that mentally anyway, even when if I'm being courted, or if, somebody is flirting with me, like, there's still this need to be worshipped. And I think that's a desire that's fulfilled in girlhood, when you have the ability to just go places that you ain't supposed to go. You out with your friends, you go to the mall, and it's boys there, or it's girls there, or whatever it is that you're interested in. And you can do the flirt, and you can do this, you can do that, or you go to these parties, and it's just like that exploration. I was denied of that. And it was like the times that I had it were so far few in between that it didn't satisfy to me. It didn't satisfy that need, that girlish need to be seen. And I feel that now as an adult, it's just like I'm not boy crazy. I'm not I'll say boy crazy. I can say boy crazy, even though I'm queer and my sexuality is fluid. I still have a heteronormative mindset to a certain extent, to where it's not necessarily I don't desire to be sought after by the feminine. I love femininity. I'm attracted to femininity emotionally, sexually, but masculinity still sets the precedence. So even if it's a woman who is masculine or a man who is masculine, it's like that desire to be idolized by the masculine is something that has not been satisfied for me yet. And I just wonder, how different would my life be if I was allowed to do more as a kid, as a child, as a teenager? What would that look like? Would I have better discernment as an adult? Would I be so rigid as an adult? Would I be so anxious, and would I be so desperate to prove myself if I've had the opportunity to experience and explore more? And I think that's the curse of being a late bloomer, because I'm 29, and it's like the girl in me is just not satisfied. And I feel like that's agitating the woman that I'm becoming, because the girl in me wants to experience, just the thrill of, again, just being desired and being young and being pretty and, having the things and just the confidence that comes with it, what comes with, all those things, and just like being that girl, being chosen. And it's different when you are in the adult world because you're interacting with hundreds of people. So it's just like not one day is the same day. The person I meet at the fucking grocery store is not going to be the same person that I meet, when I'm at the post office the next day. It's just like I'm constantly engaging with so many different people. It's like social network expands differently as an adult. And so it's like I don't know what to do about that. Like I don't know how to satisfy that part that's in a way that won't be detrimental to me, because I feel like I know better to make a silly mistake like I would when I was younger. But again, it's like when you're young, it's about the experience and it's about the thrill. Like, he ain't shit, or you wasn't supposed to be here. You wasn't supposed to do that. But it's just like you did it anyway because that's what comes with being a child. But I feel like being robbed of the chance to make those mistakes defaulted me into this adult that where it's like I'll be a damn fool to make the mistake now. Like I'll be a damn fool to get with a nigga that I know that all he do is he just look good, but he's a fucking bum. I'll be a damn fool to do that. I'll be a damn fool to, you know, skip work to lay up or to skip work to party all night long. And, it's just like the consequences, the stakes are higher as an adult, but it's just like nothing else seems satisfactory. Like what will satisfy that need for a thrill? And I think it is driving me to not be able to appreciate my present life, like me living and breathing right now. I feel like it keeps me on this loop of needing more. Like this is not enough. Like I need to be here and I need to be doing this and I need to be doing that, and nothing about this reality looks like that. And I know that if I'm not careful, I am going to spend the rest of my life chasing thrills that are just smoke and mirrors. But there is still, I still have to give this 14-year-old what she wants. But it just looks so differently now as an adult. And it's just like, sometimes I wonder what would have been different in my life. And I understand the parameters of, being sheltered in the good parts of it. And obviously it keeps me out of trouble. I wasn't a teen mom. I'm not strung out on drugs. I'm not on the streets. But that's not always the reality. You have kids, people when they were teenagers who did shit that teenagers are supposed to do, and they're thriving adults. But for me, I was made to be afraid of being in the world. Being in the world is not a good thing. Being in the world is a bad thing. Being pretty is a bad thing. Being shapely, having breasts, having a nice shape is a bad thing. Just reveling in my femininity, that's wrong, that's bad. And so those are things that I'm still trying to resolve as an adult. So that's the biggest thing that has come up for me so far. And it's just wow, I don't know if I'll ever get to vindicate that version of me. And it's just it hurts so bad because it's just damn, I just feel so robbed. And now that I'm an adult, and it's just like all the things that comes with an adult with being responsible, and you know, you gotta work, you gotta pay bills, you gotta have a house, you gotta have all these things. And I feel like it's just hard. It's so hard, honestly. It's hard satisfying that girl. It's very hard satisfying her without making myself look like a fool. Like I can't put on tight jeans and like I just feel like I would be stupid to put on, put on some nice tight jeans, a cute shirt, get real cute, just just to go to the fucking mall and just walk up and down the mall and want to get attention. Like I feel like at 29, like that's some weirdo shit to do, but that's the fucking thing to do at 15. At 15, yes. Let me put my little shit on. Let me call my friends. We're gonna hop on a bus. We're gonna go down here. We're gonna go there. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. He gonna be there. We know he gonna be there. He gonna bring his friends. Like that's the thing to do at that age. And I just feel like it was supposed to be satisfied at that age and it wasn't. And so again, now I'm here at this grown ass age and it's just like it's not satisfied.